Joining me now, Arizona Congressman and House Judiciary Committee member Andy Biggs. Congressman, good morning. Great to see you.
Good morning, Jackie. Good to be with you.
You recently introduced some legislation, new legislation, to close immigration loopholes. Tell us about that and tell us how that would work in the current system, given the executive orders that President Biden has put in place.
Well, one of the reasons that you're seeing a border surge right now and a crisis on the border is because of incentives to come here. And so my bill would take care of three of the major incentives. One of them would get to asylum. We would redefine the credible fear standard. That's important because right now it's really loose, and basically everybody gets to get in, claim the fear, and so we revise the process as well. And those are the people who are being caught and released. Then you keep families together, whereas they're separated under floors now, so they come in. We want to make sure that they could stay together, but we allow them to be together in facilities. Right now, we keep parents, but we send the kids out because of the Flores settlement. And then the third area that you really want to get to is these unaccompanied children who are being trafficked and abused. And so we speed up the time that they get to have their hearings, and we get to send them back to their countries, to their families, because these are truly unaccompanied children. And we're getting about 600 of those kids a day, and they've been brutally, typically abused on the trip up. And so we don't want to abuse them additionally. We want to get them back to their families. And that would actually reduce these incentives that people have to come on up through the border to this country.
Right. I mean, listen, the way you're laying it out, it sounds very reasonable. And to one of your points, the Biden administration is facing some backlash right now, for one thing, amongst others, for refusing to give the media access to the migrant minor facilities, to be able to see them, to be able to see what's going on right now. And maybe that would convince people, if they could see it with their own eyes of exactly what this crisis is all about. Border officials are also reportedly being told to limit what they say to the media regarding the surge at the border. Congressman, I mean, this sounds like controlling the message to the nth degree, as far as I'm concerned. They don't want to call it a crisis. It is a crisis, and they don't want to give anybody access to see.
Right, you're exactly right, and that's a problem. The one thing that the Trump administration always did, they received criticism for their separation policy, but they let the media in to see what was going on and how the kids were cared for. This administration wants to keep everything behind closed doors, and that tells you something. That tells you that it is a crisis. They know it's a crisis. They're not handling it well, and they don't want anybody to know about it. So they're putting a muzzle on the CBP agents and officials, so they're not going to speak. And they also don't want the media in to see pictures and see what's going on. Because when the people of this country see the conditions that these folks are in, they don't have adequate toilet facilities, they don't have adequate showers, and when they see this going on, they'll realize that there is a crisis, and it's caused by the Biden administration's policies, and we need to stop those policies and get back to the policies that were in place. Biden basically found a problem to a solution that the Trump administration had put in place.
Right.
And he's caused this problem.
Yet the irony here, Congressman, is the fact that they're saying it's all the previous administration's fault. We were trying to create the so-called mess that they, I mean, it's just, the logic is really interesting if you parse through it. But I know Steve Forbes wants to get in.
Senator, excuse me, maybe Senator in the future, but Congressman, the reaction to the border crisis must be getting more severe in Arizona. Can you speculate on what impact that's going to have on Senator Sinema and keeping her backbone and resisting things like getting rid of the filibuster? The political complexion of the state must be changing because of this unnecessary crisis. And will that help the Republicans in the Senate?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think Kyrsten Sinema will keep her backbone on that. She's committed to that. She's been that way for many, many years. The new Senator, Mark Kelly, though, is more of an open borders proponent anyway, and he's going to have to face the backlash that's coming in because we have border communities. And as you know, these are small communities. They don't have the resources to take care of the people who are being released into their communities, and then this is spreading throughout the entire state. So I think that it bodes ill for the Democrats who are remaining silent on this and allowing this crisis to fester. And it doesn't look like there's going to come to any kind of positive resolution anytime soon.
Congressman, the suggestion was made earlier on the show, and I want to get your take on this, that the reason the administration is taking the stance that it is and turning its head to the current crisis at the border is because it wants to encourage breaking the law, illegal immigration, because at some point under the system, those folks eventually would have an opportunity to vote. The more that you do that, the more you shift the demographics in this country.
Yes, I think that is a realistic characterization of their motivation, because to think about it, you combine H.R. 1, which says that people can vote without identification, right? So you don't have any identification, and you're going to send in mail-in ballots, and you're using these databases from all kinds of places around the country, and then you have this mass of people coming in that we don't really have a chance to fully vet, and you give them amnesty. That's a recipe for disaster for election integrity, that's for sure. And some people say that they want to cultivate this as a voting base and a voting bloc. And I don't think that's wrong.
Congressman Andy Biggs, great to see you this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jackie, Steve.